Hey guys, Peck here, and today we'll go over my practice room warm-up routine using 8 different heroes. Welcome to Peck. Over and out. Today we look at very basic practice room warm-up routine. We'll highlight 7 DPS heroes to warm up hit scan and projectile aim. I've added an extra bonus warm-up for supports too, so watch till the end. We start with some basic arm movement warm-ups. I shoot the bots by mistake sometimes, but try not to do that. We want to practice movements only. Keep your crosshair on the bot's yellow eye and practice tracking back and forth. Move from your arm. That means you should be pivoting on your elbow, not your wrist. Switch targets from time to time. You can throw in some diagonal moves and jumps. Jumps will make it harder to aim. Try to be careful while you're jumping because you really want to avoid something like this. I usually do this for about a minute before moving on to the next exercise. Next, I practice jiggle peeking. What we want to practice here is the rhythm of peeking out and shooting something, then ducking for cover again. Peek out, find your target, and line up your crosshair. Duck for cover, re-peek, and shoot the same spot again. Part of this exercise is practicing the rhythm of peeking and shooting and timing your shots. The other part is persisting where the target is in your brain, and predicting where they'll be when you re-peek. So, in a real match, the targets might move. We're mostly practicing the rhythm of peeking and shooting here. You can use this to also help practice your movement. Try to peek out as little as possible just so you can see the target. Also, it helps us practice how to pre-aim head level from a distance. You can also do this for about a minute, but what I like to do sometimes also is throw this in between rounds of the next exercise I'm about to show you. For this exercise, we use a round robin technique where we shoot one target at a time and then move to the next. For McCree, that's one headshot and then go to the next one. I'll show you how I adapt the same exercise to other heroes in a little bit. I realize that so far this has been very McCree focused, but I think there's still value here even if you don't play McCree because it'll help you practice your flicking. I usually start off by going in a clockwise motion from left to right, but then I like to vary this over time. So then I'll go right to left, and then I randomize the order to whatever bots are available. Even though they only move in 2 directions, it's random, so sometimes the bots aren't there when you expect them to be. Then when you get into it a bit more, you can practice using your high noon as a reload. Using high noon to reload can actually be pretty useful in a real match, and especially useful in deathmatch, where you're not really going to be able to get much value off of your high noons. So this will get you used to the timing of using high noon, canceling it really fast, and using it as a reload. So I actually don't know how much time I spend doing this per hero, but it's probably around 2 to 5 minutes each, and then I usually swap to a different hero and practice again. Now if you're only practicing one hero, you can take the same amount of time that you would have normally spent changing heroes and just focus on that one hero, so maybe 10 minutes on just McCree. What I do for soldiers is a little bit different. I shoot 4 to 5 shot bursts while pulling down slightly and then move to the next target. Now, not only are we practicing our tracking aim and flicking aim, but we're also practicing our burst fire control and recoil control by pulling down slightly. The other thing I try to do on soldier is I try not to reload manually as much as possible and just let my bullets run all the way out to the end of the clip. This gives me a good idea of when I'll run out of bullets naturally, assuming I don't reload, and it also lets me know if I'm shooting the right number of bullets per target in my bursts. If I get to the end of my cycle and I have too many bullets left over, then I probably screwed up somewhere along the line. Since Soldier now has 30 bullets in his clip, and there are 6 targets, we will fire exactly 5 shots per target. Next up is Ashe. So what I do with Ashe is a little bit different. I try to play corners more and practice peeking around corners. This is similar to the jiggle peek exercise, but it's also going to be a round robin, and again we're trying to predict where the targets are going to be, and we practice our pre-aiming here, and we practice our scope shots. We also want to practice reloading every few shots. So a rule that somebody told me once is fire 4 shots, reload 3, something like that. The idea is that you can reload your gun 1 bullet at a time and you don't want to be completely empty almost ever. When you're peeking out, you don't want to peek out that long, you just want to shoot and duck for cover again immediately. I do this for about a couple minutes, and then I switch to practicing combos with hip fire and scope shots. One combo that I like to practice a lot is hip fire to scope shot. Since it's a combo, I shoot the same target with both shots. This means we're going to have to reload more often also. You can practice in two separate ways. You can do double headshots or body shot with your hip fire and then headshot with your scope fire. The difference here being that when you body shot from far away, it won't do enough damage to do a killing shot. So when the targets are further away, you should probably aim for the head both times. Another really good combo to practice is your TNT headshot combo. If I'm not lobbing my TNT over shields, I'm probably using it to finish targets, but this is still a good way to practice shooting our dynamite with hipfire. And there's less end lag, so we get to practice it faster. When I'm in practice range, I don't modify my ability cooldowns. This gives me a good idea of when they'll naturally come ready in a real game. It'll also give me a feel for the cooldowns of the enemy who's playing that same hero that I'm practicing. Next hero is Hanzo. I do the same aim style training that I do for Ashe by hiding behind corners and peeking out. I try to draw the bow back while I'm behind cover and then release it when I peek out. As a Hanzo main, you want to know exactly how much damage your bow does at every stage of the drawback. You should practice percentage shots, non-fully charged, and what I'm going to call kill shots, enough to draw back the bow to kill a 200 HP squishy with a headshot, and full shots where you draw the bow back all the way. The next thing I do is I go out into the open to practice my flicking. Here I try to switch targets as quickly as possible. So instead of drawing my bow back all the way, I only draw back a percentage. Some people call that a percentage shot. The idea is to draw back just enough to get a killing blow to the head, but not all the way. You can also get a little bit creative if you're feeling up to it and use some of the geometry to do jump shots and drop shots. These are the shots where you go up the wall and shoot aiming downwards. The next hero is Widowmaker. Widowmaker's practice is going to be exactly like Ashe and Hanzo's for the most part. Again, I'm going to try winding up my shot before peeking out. Since I use the default crosshair, I try to aim it up at about 60% for when I peek and shoot right in the head. The key here is you want to pretend like you have wall hacks even when you don't have them ready. Even better than that is to actually activate the wall hacks. This will help us practice tight peeking and predict enemy movement. And by that I mean it helps us pre-aim our crosshair before we peek around the corner by showing us where the enemies actually are. After about a few minutes of that, I switch on to my next hero. Next I practice Genji. Practice range is actually a bit of a playground for Genji because Genji has so many combos he has to practice, so I probably end up spending more time on him than any other hero. The first combo I practice is left click to the head and dash. If you miss the killing blow on one, you can melee. Left click dash melee is another combo you can practice. Probably one of the most helpful exercises in practice range is to practice your blade. You dash up, pull blade, and then hop and deflect, and then dash in and slash. The idea of the hop is that you're really supposed to do it just before touching the target and dropping down on them, and this is supposed to be a fake out, useful for baiting out stuns like McCree's flashbang. The deflect will protect you from anything that you missed by hopping, like a graviton surge or the flashbang of the smarter McCree who held his flash. I've actually spent a lot of time practicing blade here in the practice range, and I've felt that it's actually helped me a lot in making my blades cleaner in a real game, because it gives you a place where you can really screw up and then figure out how to recover from it really fast. Since the bots move in basically fixed direction, it's very easy to practice blade on them. They move randomly enough that they might still surprise you from time to time, but this will help you practice improvising. You'll be able to react, find where the bot went, and then target him. Another combo I like to practice here is dash melee. It's good for a finisher. It's not enough damage to kill a 200 HP target, but it'll get them critically low or finish them off if they were low to begin with. Next up, Tracer. The first exercise I do with Tracer is a basic tracking movement warm-up. I just try to keep my crosshair on top of the target's head or body at all times. Just move around the target and practice moving your crosshair and keep it on the target. I switch targets and do a few rounds of these usually. Then when I'm ready, I start shooting. This exercise is kind of freeform, just do whatever you're feeling, really. Practice shooting, blinking, melee to finish off, practice pulse bombs, Whatever feels good. This is kind of a have fun and freeform exercise. Then I practice specifically melee finishes. Get the target to really low, and then blink in and melee to finish. This is a good way for me to practice the blink distance and the melee blink combo. I try to be mindful of Tracer's reload times and wait for the counter to reset while I'm in training. The reason I do that is because I've noticed that I have this problem in game, and this is something I want to try to work out. After I've had my fill of blink melee finish practice, I move on to the next exercise. In the next exercise, I just spam blink and melee repeatedly. The idea here is to practice blink distance and your melee accuracy. It takes a really long time to regenerate all your blinks, so I usually end up finishing off the bots with some regular primary fire and do some more primary fire tracking practice in between. Next I practice melee recall combo. Get the target low, blink in, melee and recall at the same time. Since the recall timer is so long, I usually do other exercises in between.
But wait, there's more. Surprise warm-up tip, Ana quickscoping. This will feel like the other snipers' warm-ups, especially Ash's. I won't explain in detail how to quickscope. The short version? Shoot as soon as you see the scope reticle on screen. ML7 made a great video on how to do it. I'll link it below. Peer around corners in quickscope. Since there's a bit of end lag on your shooting animation, wait for Ana to cock the gun back before trying again. That means you won't be able to do this super fast back to back. You want to build the quickscope timing into your muscle memory and practice your aim here as well. Practice this for a few minutes before queuing up, and it should help your aim and timing. And that's the end of my practice routine. I hope that was helpful for you guys. I'll try to make some more videos in the future to kind of explain a little bit more about some of the things I talk about here, because I didn't really go into a lot of depth. The idea was just to show you what I do every day to warm up before going into comp. These exercises are very basic, but that's the whole point. Since it's in training grounds, you can practice anytime you want, and you don't need other people to help you. No queue times for arcade matches or quick play. It's always available, and it's fast. Since we focus on very basic movements, it seems fitting for a warm-up. Think about it this way, would you do a 20-mile run as a warm-up? For those of you who don't know, 20 miles is about 32 kilometers. That's a lot. In real life, a warm-up is more like one lap around the track, some jumping jacks, touching your toes, 5 minutes on an exercise bike on the easiest level. These are things that you usually do to warm up. Get the blood flowing, get things pumping, get started. Since I usually queue DPS and the queue times are 10 to 15 minutes anyways, I'll do the second part of my warm-up during the queue time. This is where I'll go into either try-hard free-for-all or do some on-a-bot warm-ups. Since I'm a little bit over time right now, I'll explain those in a different video. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, and tell a friend or neighbor. Or you can yell "I love Peck" outside your window, whatever makes me happy. Or you happy. I don't know. Figure it out. Can someone tell me how to end the video? I really don't know what I'm doing here.